have you. You were one of the first Republican senators to endorse Trump in the primaries when it wasn't yet clear he would win this whole thing. You were with him last night in the VIP box. What was the vibe there?
Well, listen, I spoke with President Trump immediately after or not immediately, the morning after the assassination attempt, and it's still President Trump. You know, he has this energy about him that is just unusual. He has a sense of humor about him that most people don't get to see. But I tell you, what you saw last night was something that I hadn't seen outside of the family setting, meaning in Bedminster or down in Mar-a-Lago. You saw his family around him, more than just his kids, but his grandkids. And I think that has really changed after they saw that their granddad almost got killed. The family realized it's not just their dad or their grandfather that's in a fight, that it's the family that's in this fight now, and they took it personal. But you're seeing a different mindset. I know I spoke to him on Sunday. Of course, I spoke to him multiple times since then, too. But even on Sunday, he's like, you know, we're going to change the tone. I'm going to change my speech. And he was very adamant about that. And I think tonight you're going to hear that speech about unity, about bringing this country together and setting some of these hot topics to the side. But there's a real difference, right, between the leadership of Biden and the leadership of Trump for this country, and a different vision. And that vision that we're currently working underneath isn't working right. And so we need to bring Trump back in. And that's going to be part of his speech tonight. You know,
a lot of his ardent supporters have loved the fact that he's combative. A lot of his speeches over the years have been full of red meat. They've been very aggressive, to say the least. Some would argue divisive. Some would describe them as angry. If you read some of his social media posts, that they certainly fit that bill. Do you really think we're going to hear something dramatically different tonight?
Well, keep in mind, I think President Trump was responding to a lot of the attacks that came after him. I remember from the first time he announced himself as a candidate in the 2015, actually 2014, going into 2015 election. He was attacked from the media, and so he responded to a lot of this. But you got to remember, he's a guy that is used to making deals. He grew a business not because he was divisive. He grew a business because people wanted to do business with him. He was able to hire people of great quality because people wanted to work for him. And he didn't hire them because they're Republicans or Democrats. He built an empire because people believed in his vision. And he can do that as president, too. And so, yes, I do believe you're going to hear a different tone from him. I think you heard it last night from Don Jr. when he stood up and he says, listen, if America's not working for you today, then we have a place for you right here in the Republican Party. And you're going to hear that same tone continue tonight. President Trump is very able to lead this country, and he knows he wants to lead it for everybody, not just the Republican Party.
Yeah, you mentioned he was surrounded by his children, not all of his children, but most of his children and a couple of his grandkids in the box last night. Tonight, for the first time, we're reportedly going to see the former First Lady Melania Trump in the box, right?
Yes, that's what we reported. I talked to his team earlier. I didn't ask him if that was actually confirmed, but I've been hearing the same reports. When I spoke to President Trump, I didn't ask him that question either, so I can't confirm for sure they're going to be there, but I saw the same reports that you have.
Yeah, because we haven't seen her thus far at the convention. All right, Senator Markwayne Mullin, it's going to be an exciting night for you and your fellow Republicans.
Yes, it will be.
All right, thanks. Thanks so much for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.